The historical city of Cuenca is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. Colonial streets, Inca ruins, and hat production were some of the many attractions we enjoyed in the third largest city of Ecuador. We also took a wonderful hike in the close-by Cajas National Park.
Cuenca is the third biggest city in Ecuador, and it is often regarded as one of the most beautiful cities in the country, with its colonial historical center. Its new cathedral, with its 3 blue domes, is a landmark of the town. Built in 1885, it could not be finished according to the plan, because of miscalculations from the architect. The cathedral would have collapsed if the towers had reached their planned height. In Cuenca, there are a lot of fascinating museums. We visited the Museum of Aboriginal Cultures and the Museum of Pumapungo, with its Inca ruins and ethnographic exhibition.
There's not a lot of information about the people living in Ecuador before the Inca. Without writing, their history is really hard to retrieve. However, they left a lot of artifacts, and with those, archaeologists are able to make hypotheses on their lifestyle. The Museum of Aboriginal Cultures has a beautiful collection. And there, we learned a lot about the evolution of human societies in Latin America. Humans arrived in the region from the north, 15,000 years ago. We could see tools, impressive seats, and musical instruments, such as this lithophone. Around 4000 before Christ, the discovery of corn agriculture brought sedentarism, which allowed the development of the first ceramics. Then, the complexity of the geography of Ecuador led to the diversification of the cultures between 500 before Christ and 500 after Christ. Different characteristic tools were developed, such as the cylindric seals to paint or tattoo with repetitive motifs, or these cooking graters. We could also see different mythological figures from then, zoomorphic or anthropomorphic, depending on the culture. From 500 to 1400 after Christ, the people of Ecuador integrated themselves into bigger and more advanced civilizations. Among other artifacts, we found our jars with heads, absolutely amazing.
"50 years before the Spanish colonization, the Cañari were at war with the invading Incas. The Cañari city of Guapondeleg, now Cuenca, was conquered by the Inca Emperor, Tupac Inca Yupanqui. The city was then renamed Tomebamba. It is there that the emperor's son, Huayna Cápac, was born. When he reached power, he rebuilt it after the Incan city of Cusco. To respect the style of the capital, at least 450 stones weighing 700 kilograms were transported by men all the way from the Secret Valley, 1,600 kilometers south. The Spaniards were told that Tomebamba was magnificent, a second capital of the Inca Empire. However, when they arrived, they just found a burned town. According to the legend, the city was burned down by its inhabitants before the Spanish reached it. A more realistic version says that Tomebamba was destroyed during a civil war between the sons of Huayna Cápac. Nowadays, there are only a few ruins left, including those of Pumapungo, the door of the Puma, that can be visited in the company of llamas.
Ecuador has an extraordinary diversity of indigenous people. We learn about some of them in the ethnographic exposition of the Pumapungo Museum. 7% of the population considers itself as indigenous, while 72% of the people are of Métis heritage. The vast majority of the indigenous people live in the Sierra, like the Otavaleños. But there are also coastal groups, as the Tzachilas, and communities in the Amazon forest, like the Shuars. There is also an Afro-Ecuadorian community that makes up to 5% of Ecuador's population. The descendants of the slaves brought by the Spanish mainly live in the province of Esmeraldas on the coast. In the museum, we can also see representations of mythical characters. Taita Carnaval is elected in each city as the leader of the carnival festival. La Mama Negra is celebrated in La Tacunga. a man is dressed as a Black Virgin Mary to thank her for her protection during the eruption of the Cotopaxi volcano. The people of Tigua put on animal masks to make offerings to Mother Earth, La Pachamama. There was much more to see in this beautiful museum. It gave us a quick overview of the enormous cultural diversity in this country. It is impossible to visit Cuenca without encountering a Panama hat shop. Yes, you heard well, Panama hats are made in Ecuador. Originally from Monte Cristi on the coast, they are also produced around Cuenca. Made of paja toquilla, those straw hats have been exported worldwide since the 1830s. A version of the history behind the misleading name of the Panama hats is that thousands of hats were exported to Panama during the construction of the Panama Canal. They were used by the workers as they are a perfect protection against the sun while being light and breathable. The tightness of the weave is a measure of the hat's quality. The high-quality hats have around 3,000 weaves per square inch and take about 8 months to handcraft. Then they are shaped by heat, as we could see in the Museo del Sombrero. The prices can reach several thousands of dollars. Being in Cuenca was a perfect occasion to make up for the loss of my hat at the Mondongo. But don't worry, all the hats are not that expensive.
The Parque Nacional Cajas is about 30 to 40 minutes drive from Cuenca. This breathtaking national park is a high-altitude ecosystem ranging between 3,100 to 4,500 meters. We were in the Páramo, a unique biome found above the forest line but below the permanent snow line. El Cajas is of extreme importance due to the numerous ecosystem services it provides. The soil acts like a water sponge, collecting, storing, and distributing large quantities of fresh water. It has more than 780 water bodies. It is not surprised that it's the main water source of Cuenca and many nearby communities. This beautiful park, filled with lagoons, has an outstanding biodiversity. The fauna includes 44 species of mammals, 157 species of birds, 17 amphibians, and 5 reptiles. El Cajas has also at least 512 plant species, 19 of them endemic. A very characteristic part of the flora is the red paper trees, or polylepsis. Indeed, we could admire many paper trees while hiking around the national park. I can only say that I'm counting the days to go back to this magical place. The landscape was simply stunning. I lack the words to describe it, so just have a glimpse at it. Hello everyone! We hope you enjoyed our video and learned a couple of things. This is the second video of our series we are making. The next one is going to be pretty exciting. It's going to take us to Galapagos. If you would like to check it out, just click over here. Otherwise, you can subscribe not to miss any of our videos. Just click over here. Thanks and hope to see you soon, guys. Hasta pronto!